haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove there's strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify. The things that you believe in have to scream it like a battle cry, and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love. Those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug. Those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make of lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others fail to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Yo, shout out to my pops, man. I do this for you. Shout out to everybody out there. I hope you guys are having a blessed day. I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. I didn't even double check my mic and how we're doing things. I want to apologize. Disclaimer, first and foremost. I'm in the middle of bowl season, and I don't even feel really prepared for this episode, but I'm doing it anyways. And I'm doing it because I have to, right? I just can't wait until New Year's Eve, the day we don't have a bowl game, and then finally do my episodes. I wanted to get through all the position groups on the transfer portal, and then once I'm through with all the position groups, we start over again. So this is the last episode. I've already done quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, and now we're on the secondary. Then I'm going to go back and go over, excuse me if you will, I'm going to go back and go over each position group with updates every single time. So this is the very first episode on defensive backs. I feel slightly unprepared, not much. It's just that when I'm not in bowl season, I can really focus on the transfer portal and go all in. And lately, I've been focused on some other things. I'm also, full disclaimer, I'm dealing with some life-changing things over here. I just retired from the military. Shout out to retirement services. I just got my first paycheck from the retirement services. My first paycheck for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? So it feels pretty good. Got it early. It's supposed to come on the 1st. It showed up on the 29th. I might have to make it stretch a couple days. No, but in all seriousness, I had to go to a lot of banks, go speak to a lot of people. It's the end of the year, the calendar year. You got meetings with all kinds of other people because I've changed my life. I am a social media content creator, and I have other revenue streams. So I'm dealing with a lot of things, a lot of moving parts, and I'm doing my best to keep it all together while making content on TikTok, on YouTube, on Patreon. Shout out to the MVPs. If you didn't know, it's bowl season, and RicoKnows. I've been picking bowl games and the games for the I got to pull it up. I don't have it in front of me. I think I'm 27-12 with picking against the spread in conference championship games and bowl games. No big deal. Just 27-12. You don't know what that is. That's money, baby. That's money. That's people making real money. Shout out to the MVPs. I know we're 11-1 in the last 12 games. We just missed an over yesterday by half a point. Straight up, it was 47.5 on the over. The final score was 47 total points. I said take the over. I was wrong. But 11 out of 12 ain't bad, and we're hitting on a ton of props. If you want to become an MVP, go to Patreon. Search RicoKnows, and you'll do it. I will be having MVP services all off-season for the UFC fights, futures bets, and March Madness, and we will be bringing it back to YouTube, and we're going to have it on Patreon and YouTube, so you guys can pick either one. But we're going to have that, I think, by February. So just a heads up on what's going on. But let's get focused on this here. The transfer portal, defensive backs edition, defensive backs thing. You guys know the deal. I'm going to go to the chat at some point after I do about 10 of these athletes. I'll pause. I'll go to the chat. I'll read everybody's chat over here. I'll go to the Discord server. If you're not on the Discord server, it's okay. It's because you're not an MVP. MVPs are on the Discord server. They get priority. I'll read their comments first. And then, obviously, there's YouTube chat where I'm at. I'm not live streaming on TikTok right now. Numbers will be down because we're doing this live stream in the middle of the workday. It doesn't bother me. People will eventually see it. We're having a couple thousand people watch these live streams as the day goes on or as they're posted. So we're kind of used to it. It is what it is. But if people want the information, they'll come look for it. And here it is, okay? So defensive backs in the transfer portal. Once again, 24/7 Sports is the website I use. I only use this website before the pictures. I don't use it for this information. I don't use it for this information. And I sure as hell don't care what order they're in. They have them in order by quote-unquote rank. I'm going to tell you this is no possible way that this is the rank in which these players should be, or at least even be viewed. This is not it. When I look at these players, I think to myself, yeah, they came from prestigious schools, prominent schools, but these are not the best players in the transfer portal, and they're not ranked properly. I don't know how their stars work or what they're doing, but it's not it, bro. It's not it. Now, there are two teams that have performed so much better than everybody else in the transfer portal when it comes to defensive back specifically. Remember, offensive line, I praised Louisville or I praised Colorado. Defensive line, Louisville, Purdue, Colorado. Linebackers, I don't remember which schools I said were the best. I'd have to go back and check my notes. But for defensive backs, two schools are really good. And this is an impact score, when meaning I evaluate how good are your additions to your current roster. How much did you improve, right? And for me, in this group of players, Ole Miss and Texas A&M have found some legitimate help to their secondary. Legitimate gems, good players. There's just no way around it. Ole Miss and Texas A&M probably have the best defensive back classes right now. And I don't know how you really close that gap or how you get it. I mean, there's going to be people jumping the portal, guys like A.J. Harris and Denver Harris. I don't think they're going to improve your secondary all that much in comparison to what I've seen and the people that have been signed. So I'll go down this list. I'm probably going to go. Usually I try to do everybody who's committed, but I don't have that energy today. I have to live stream at noon in about 2 hours for all the bowl games today. There's 4 bowl games. I got to be on live for that. So I just got to kind of, I don't know, do my energy management to some extent. I have about 60 players I wanted to touch on, 60 commits, and then I stopped and said, you know what, we'll just cut it in half, and I'll get them on the next episode. So it is what it is, okay? But let's talk about it, and we'll go from there. So Nyland Green, the top-rated player in the portal, supposedly. If you read any websites or any articles, they're going to be like, the top-rated corner is in the portal, and he's leaving Georgia, going to Purdue. First and foremost, shout out to Ryan Walters, the head coach at Purdue, the former defensive coordinator at Illinois back in 2022 when Illinois had the best scoring defense in the country, Devin Witherspoon, one of the Brown brothers, and one more guy. They had a draft pick in the first, second, and third round from their secondary and from their team. And it's really impressive. Like, you go to Purdue. Purdue had a terrible year this year. Defense could not get it together. Brick is their defensive line coach. They have a couple of other guys. Their defensive backs coach at Purdue is actually the former corners coach from Ole Miss. He moved to Purdue to be the secondary coach. And they did not have a good year. They didn't have the front. They didn't have the defensive line that could stop anyone in the Big Ten. They just didn't do well. I will tell you that they're addressing their needs as best they can. And if you get a player from Georgia of this caliber, congratulations, right? But for me, by the way, they also got C.J. Madden. C.J. Madden's from Georgia as well, and he's going to the defensive line. So he's an edge rusher. So that's good for Purdue to go out and get two players who didn't pan out at Georgia, couldn't make the two deep, but there's no shame in that. Right? So I watched Nyland Green play in high school. He played here in Georgia. If you ever played high school football in Georgia, I watched you play. If you guys haven't seen, I do all Georgia high schools, all 400-something of them. I do weekly wrap-ups of all their games. I do their playoffs. I know every Georgia high school football player. It's what I do. And people ask me to do it for every state. I can't do it for every state because I don't have the resources to do it for every state. I know Georgia. I lived here for the last 9 years. I know Georgia. And that's what I do. And I can tell you any player that played in Georgia, I got it. I studied them. I watched them. I know it. It's crazy. The kids reach out to me all the time. I do high school film reviews. I do playoffs for Georgia State playoffs. I have a whole playlist for this shit. So when I tell you I watched the kid play in high school, it's not a game. I watched them play. So Nyland Green played at Newton High School here in Georgia, played wide receiver DB. Wasn't bad. He looked skinny on tape. He looked skinny when I watched him play, and I thought, man, he needs to eat. He has long strides. So what? He's a 4-star kid from 2021. I want you guys to know that a majority of the DBs from Georgia left. Why? Fran Brown left, right? So once you lose your secondary coach, your DB's coach, he left to Syracuse to be the head coach, you're going to see some attrition in the defensive backs. But for me, seeing Dante Williams is the new DB coach for Georgia, he's lost all these guys. There's only one corner left from 2023. I think one corner left from last year's recruiting class. What's his name? Pill? Yeah, one guy left, Chris Pill. So people are in the portal. Now, Nyland Green to me is a little better than A.J. Harris. When I watch A.J. Harris on film, he's not signed anywhere, but A.J. Harris is doesn't have as much of a ceiling for me. Like, they're both 6'1", 190-ish. They're both about the same size. But for me, A.J. Harris is a kid, was in Alabama. He played at one particular high school. I can't remember the name of it. But then he transferred. Maybe it was Glenwood to Central. You go to Central Phoenix, wherever it was. Central, one of the top schools in the state. You're now a 4-star. You're going to Georgia. You're going to go play at the highest level and all this stuff. But when I turn on the tape, not a burner. Not to me. A.J. Harris just doesn't look fast. And when you lack that recovery speed at defensive back, you're going to find yourself on the bench at Georgia. I don't know where he ends up. I'm sure he's not going to go. He's going to go to another Power 5 school. But it should be very telling if he doesn't go to Syracuse. Let me make that very clear. Nyland Green left to go play for a coach that has pro pedigree. You leave to go play for Ryan Walters. Everybody understands that move. He has put people in the NFL. A.J. Harris leaves. Could you imagine you're a defensive back, you just got recruited, and the guy that recruited you to go to Georgia doesn't recruit you to go to his school? Like, is Fran Brown heavy on A.J. Harris? If he is, then let's go. If he's not, that should tell you something, right? It's a recruiting miss. Then we got Andrew Mukaba. Dude, I'm terrible with names. Don't judge me. We got Andrew leaving Clemson, going to Texas. Yeah, it's pretty simple, man. You're going to see some players who left their home state to go to a school that was like a perennial power, and then they realized their home state has a really good team, and they're working out. This happened in Missouri. It's gonna come up here in a little bit. Missouri, was it Torino Pride? Yeah, Torino Pride. Leaving Clemson. I'm gonna go back to Missouri. Why? Missouri's doing better than Clemson in the polls, in results. Man, I should have just stayed home. Torino Pride from East St. Louis, Illinois. I'm gonna go back home. So Clemson had these two kids coming out. Now, if you guys don't know, Andrew's been a 3-year starter at Clemson. He started as a true freshman. First corner to ever start as a true freshman at Clemson. Ever. Like since 1970, when freshmen could start playing, 1978, 76. Once freshmen could start playing, I think it was 78, right? Boom. Andrew's the first one to ever start. So he's been playing at Clemson for a while, but he's from LBJ. He's from Lyndon B. Johnson High School in Texas, coming back home to Austin, Texas. His tape, he looks fast enough. When you watch Andrew on tape, he looks fast enough. When you watch him on film, I watched him play many games. I'm sorry, guys, I'm under the weather. But this is a 3-year starter. I think he lacks acceleration. I can see receivers beating him on comebacks, beating him on drags across the middle. I don't think he breaks on the ball well. He's a good player. He's athletic. I think he's a quality starter or quality contributor to your secondary. I'm sure Texas is happy to get him. But I'm telling you, he lacks elite closing speed or recovery speed. When I watch it on tape, he's not fast out of his breaks. I even went all the way back to his high school tape, and he's running a lot of receiver routes. He just looks like, yeah, it just doesn't work for me. And on the flip side, speed isn't everything. Sorry, guys, I have a really bad cough. So, in that, speed isn't everything. Damani Jackson, this is a speed demon. Played high school ball at Mater Dei. Played at Mater Dei, was the 5-star, the Messiah, the guy that's going to do everything. And he got to USC and couldn't start. Couldn't see the field. Now, this year he played a little bit. But, you guys, I don't understand this. He just committed to Alabama. The arrogance of coaching staffs who look at a kid and say, I could make him better. I could coach him better. He could start for us. Man, if you can't start on that terrible USC defense, how the hell can you play at Alabama? Now, maybe he's going to go do it. Maybe he's going to play better. But I don't think he's that good at football. I think he's pretty fast. He runs a 10-300 meters. I think he's pretty fast on tape. He looked great in high school. You're surrounded by a bunch of 5-star dudes. Look, man, I can't evaluate Mater Dei players all that well. Every time I turn on the tape, every single player on Mater Dei is better than every single player on the other side of the ball. How hard is it to tell? I don't know how good you are. All your teammates are great. They carry the team. You make a mistake, we won't never know. Somebody else is picking up the slack. Oh, but he had 6 interceptions. Yeah, I think so. Because the defensive line is causing these terrible passes. That's why. Because that defensive line is literally batting down every pass. They tip them, and then you catch these tip drills. That doesn't make you a great corner. It's hard to tell what's going on with Mater Dei players. But you're 5 stars. You're transferring from one Power 5 to another Power 5. And then when you can't play over there, what'd you just do? He's wasted my mother flipping time. Damani Jackson, I get it. A lot of people are saying, well, Rico, you saw a goal. They had to fire their coach, their defensive coordinator, because he's so bad. Grinch, right? I'm like, okay. Okay, so that explains why Corey Foreman wasn't in the starting lineup. That explains why Tackett Curtis is transferring. Like, does this explain why players aren't any good? I don't necessarily know. But I can tell you this. When they went to sign defensive backs out of the transfer portal, and they've been doing it for 2-3 years in a row now, those players came in and played better than that young man. We're talking about just some average-ass dudes showed up and played better than Damani Jackson. So to imagine and to think that there's a guy on the bench who cannot get on the field at USC, and now he can magically go to Alabama. Like, to me, is it Alabama's mistake in over-evaluating his talent, or is it this young man's mistake? Because if he can play football and it was just on the USC coaching staff to get it wrong, then he's justified going to Alabama. Congrats. But why not just go to San Diego State? Why not just stay on the West Coast, go to San Diego State, go play for Sean Lewis, and ball the hell out? You're going to go to the NFL if you're that good. And if you can really play, it'll show. But when you go to Bama and you can't play and you're not better than who they have, you just wasted another year of eligibility. And now you're really far from home and you're never going to see the field. That's all I'm saying. It's a little ass backwards for me. It's a little backwards for me. Don't like it. Just saying. That move, I don't think he's that caliber of player. I think if you were starting at USC and you said to yourself, I want to go test the SEC waters, I want to go prove myself in the SEC, that makes sense. Right? Remember, who's the linebacker that just, Omar Speights, left Oregon State after starting at Oregon State, being an all-conference linebacker, said, I'm going to go transfer to LSU because I want to prove that I can play football. You didn't take a bench warmer from the Pac-12, a guy who couldn't see the field, and then he went, oh, man, I'm going to go over there and play and see what happens. How did Jaden Daniels play so well at LSU? Well, he was a starter at Arizona State. He wanted to go test himself. But you don't take the backup. You don't see any other backups going to the SEC, do you? You see backups from the Pac-12 going to the SEC? Point them out. Oh, I couldn't start here, bro. But you know what? They got me wrong, man. I could start at Bama. Point them out. It's fucking bananas to me. Upton Stout going back to school. Upton Stout going back to Western Kentucky. That's weird. I didn't see that. Kamari Ramsey leaving UCLA, going to SC. Not surprising. He's following his defensive coordinator. I think it's very encouraging, just like I talked about. Fran Brown going to Syracuse. Should bring some guys with him from his secondary. When you look at Kamari Ramsey, good size, 6'1", 205. I like it. By the way, played high school ball in Sierra Canyon, okay, which is a perennial power in Southern California, or I should say in California. When I turn on the tape, this guy hits like a truck. Hard-hitting dude. Good range, all over the field. I think his high school tape looks, and I'm going to say this word very carefully, high school tape looks elite. Looks elite. Played in 15 games this year, full-time starter for 15 games this year. I meant 15 games total. They didn't play 15 games this year. Full-time starter for UCLA. Looked good. 40 tackles, 1 interception. I don't think he's a ball hawk, but he looked good. Shout out to Kamari Ramsey. Quality player. You want to talk about a quality player? DeCamerion? Yeah, DeCamerion Richardson. DeCamerion Richardson leaving Mississippi State, going to Ole Miss. This is an SEC caliber player. Period. Point blank. Period. 6'2", 195. Okay. Good size. Can do everything. I said good size. Pause. Played in 45 games at Mississippi State. Started 26 of them. He's just a quality kid. You know he can line up and defend against anybody. Ole Miss has seen enough tape on him. They know he's better than some of their players. This isn't Walden coming over from Georgia Tech. This isn't who's the kid who came over from North Texas. They had some transfers last year that came over from different schools. Ole Miss did. And it wasn't the same caliber of athlete, same caliber of competition. So it was like all speculation whether or not those players could keep up in the Ole Miss defense against other teams. There's no speculation here. Richardson's an SEC caliber player. He can keep up. So that's a quality signing for Ole Miss. Even if he's just the rotational guy, even if he just becomes your nickel back, shout out to a terrible band, that's where it's at. Okay, Upton Stout going back to school, no big deal. Nothing to talk about there. If he's going back to Western Kentucky, more power to him. Marcus Harris, leaving Idaho, going to Cal. And I'm going to tell you guys, there are some players that played at Idaho that can play in the Power 5 all day long. And you're seeing it. Their quarterback, right? Quarterback goes and transfers to Oregon State. running back, transfers to Utah. And now you have one of their starting corners transferring to Cal. These are guys that can play some football. Okay, now, for me, Marcus Harris from Grant, Portland, probably under-recruited coming out of high school, but I remember he went to Oregon State first. He went to Oregon State out of high school, okay? Went to Oregon State, didn't work out, goes to Idaho, and you guys, Idaho played against Cal this year. So Cal already saw him up firsthand, up close and personal. He had 2 tackles, 1 pass breakup in that game, and I'm telling you, there's a couple of teams out here on this list. There's a couple players. They played against their new team. That new team saw them on tape and said, that guy's better than the guys we got on this team. And I really feel that way. Marcus Harris on his tape is so fast. So fast. Marcus Harris is NFL fast. Great recovery speed. Great, just dynamite. I'm excited for Marcus Harris. Just to get an opportunity, come back to the Power 5, go do your thing, and get ready for the NFL. This is a 5'11", 185-pound corner, though. A little short. We don't like him under 6 feet, right? It's like a dating app. You need to be over 6 feet tall. But 51 tackles this year, 3 interceptions, and the magic number, y'all, 10 pass breakups. 10 pass breakups. I look for PBUs. And I'm going to tell you guys this from doing this for years now. Anytime you see double-digit pass breakups, that's as good as interceptions. That's as good as anything else. It is such a great indicator of that player's ability to break up the passes. Now, you want to go watch the film and watch them and see the plays. Sometimes it's a poorly thrown ball. Sometimes it's a dropped interception. But 10 pass breakups is always good, pretty much. And shout out to Marcus Harris for doing the damn thing. I'm excited for him to get back to this level of competition and see if he can hang. Gilbert, leaving A&M, going to LSU. And I'm going to tell you guys this. He's a Louisiana kid. Played at University Labs. As a matter of fact, I think it was a teammate with Ryan Clark's son. And Ryan Clark's son's coming up on the list. I'm sure he is. Leaving Arizona State, going to Notre Dame, I think. Right? I'm trying to go off memory right now. I'll see it when I see it. But the point is Gilbert is a quality player. Leaving A&M, going to LSU. He was a starter at A&M. And then he got hurt at the beginning of the year after 2 games. So this is a starter. This is a guy who knows what he's doing. And LSU needs secondary guys. They just lost Denver Harris to the portal. Thank goodness. Denver Harris is a cancer. Shouldn't be in your locker room. Should have never believed in him. But one thing Brian Kelly talked about was we got our transfers too late. Brian Kelly said they got some guys too late in the winter cycle, too late in the spring cycle, and they weren't all on the same page by the time football season came around. So he wants to get his continuity of his secondary early, faster, and let them all start working in the offseason together. That's pretty cool. At least Brian Kelly acknowledges that they need to be ready to go by the time the season starts. I think Gilbert looks like a solid athlete. Watching tape, he looks like a good player. He's gained about 15 pounds since high school, so he packs a bigger punch. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. He's a safety, and he can play some football. Like it. Will Lee. Will Lee going to A&M. Will Lee III leaving K-State. You guys want to know what his nickname is? His nickname is the Blanket. Will Lee is 6'3", 185 pounds. He's from Kirkwood, Missouri. Shout out to him. Did 1 season at K-State as a freshman. You see, they improved him. They raised him up to 4 stars. This is a justified star game. This is a good player. Will Lee, his teammates call him the Blanket because when he plays man coverage, he's all over you. This is a kid, I think he was 3rd in man coverage in the entire country, according to PFF. You're going to hear me say according to PFF a few times today. I don't like PFF. It's not the be-all, end-all for me. But it's saying something when you're 3rd in the entire country, okay, for man coverage, 42 tackles. I'm going to say this, though. Ishmael how do you say his name? Aristide. Ishmael Aristide. He's the defensive backs coach for Texas A&M. He knows what he's doing. Great secondary coach. Great pedigree for getting players to the NFL, getting players drafted. I like what Ishmael does. I think these players are making the right decision by going to A&M. They need some DBs. Now, remember, last offseason, they signed Tony Grimes. They signed Josh DeBerry. They signed Sam McCall. They were trying to find answers in the secondary. I think they're getting some quality players. They're trying to address their recruiting misses. They're trying. So more power to them. I also love Mike Elko as a defensive coordinator, defensive coach, understanding what Mike Elko assesses talent properly. Mike Elko, back when he was at A&M, his defenses were great. But when he got to Duke, he evaluated everything really good. And I think he learned rotating defensive backs and safeties and making it count. So for me, I really like what's going on there. I do. So that's a big move for me. Will Lee leaving K-State, going to A&M. That's a quality player. I think Will Lee's a future NFL draft pick. First three rounds. I think Will Lee's a future NFL draft pick in about 2 years. So you just got yourself an NFL player. Jermon McCoy is a future NFL player as well. Jermon McCoy leaving Oregon State, going to Tennessee. He might be in the rotation this next season, but then he's going to start for the next 2 years after that. Jermon McCoy he just saw the field as a as a true freshman at Oregon State. Jumps off the tape. He looks athletic. He's from Texas. He got offers from everybody, y'all. Everybody. And he played this year 31 tackles. I think he's solid. They gave him an extra star. He's a solid player. These are both really good young players that belong in this type of range when it comes to ratings. Okay? I believe in this. And before I go to Preston, I'm going to stop and go to the chat right now, and then I'll get back to Preston Hodge. I just think these are quality players. Now, he might not be a starter right away at Tennessee. He might be the third or fourth best corner this upcoming year, but he's super young. He's just a true freshman, and he just played 1 year at Oregon State. So I like Jermon McCoy. I like Will Lee. These look like good signings. Love Marcus Harris. Obviously, quality players. So let's go to the chat. Sultan SWAT says, DCam. Yep, DCam. DeCameron. He shot me a message before he entered the portal, and I did everything in my power to get him not to go to Ole Miss, but he wants to prove his doubters that he can lock down the SEC corner, to be a lockdown corner. Okay. He can play football. He's not bad. Zach Downey says, Rico, I have zero clue how you deal with the people on TikTok. So many people with low critical thinking skills. Yeah, Zach Downey, it's pretty simple, man. It's actually not worth my time. I have a huge platform there. It generates a couple $1,000s a month, but it's not equivalent to that of the MVPs, not by a long shot. And it's very frustrating interacting with children or people with the intellect that of children, like equivalent to that of children. It's very difficult. Their critical thinking skills are ridiculous. If I say anything critical of a black athlete, I am racist. Granted, 90% of the athletes are black. So I'm just not supposed to say anything critical about anything they care about. If you're a fan of a team and I say something negative about your team, I'm anti your team. It doesn't make any sense. There's 133 teams. I'm going to talk positively and negatively about every single team. It's the reality of the situation. But they can't grasp simple concepts. They're just Neanderthals. And these are the same people serving you your food. These are the same people picking up your trash. And I think of them at that echelon. There are minions in this world. We need minions in this world, and these are minions. Real talk. Top of the top. What up, Banning on Business? How do you like these college football games? So I'm loving the bowl games. I am loving them. Yeah, seeing a lot of backups, seeing what they're going to look like next year, knowing what caliber of player they are, all that stuff. And I'm getting them right, so it feels pretty good. It was a little rough at the start of the bowl season, not knowing what these 6-6 teams were going to do against one another when everybody was opting out and not playing. But we've hit our stride a little bit. Doing all right. Feeling pretty good. I think we might have got over the hump, and we were on what we call a heater. We were on a heater for a little bit there, And hopefully today we stay above 500. We don't like to be under 500 ever, but, it's part of gambling. It is what it is. What's up, Rico? Blessings, brother. Shout out to Digital Assets, Jared. Appreciate you, man. Good to see you. I doubt you'll move this far down the list, but is Travion Wright, corner from Memphis, going to Mississippi State, anything to write home about? You're right. I will be getting to Travion Wright, but it will be episode number 2. It will be episode number 2 on my list. Let me see. How many more does he have? Ooh-wee. Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be episode 2. I apologize. Won't get to him. Nothing to write home about. Nothing. Come on, man. Let me just put it like this. Memphis defense is bad. Memphis defense is bad. Hey, Rico, thoughts on Isaiah Hamilton, DB from Houston, just jumped in the portal. So, RJ, I don't talk about players who just hopped in the portal all that much. I wait for them to sign somewhere, and then I assess where they sign. And the reason for that is 3,000 players are going to jump in the portal. There's no need to have a take on every single player that jumps in the portal. When they sign somewhere, now you can have an educated, more informed take on where they signed. And then a lot of them aren't going to sign anywhere and their career's over and they don't realize it. People don't realize there are players in the portal right now that are never going to play football again. They don't even know it. The players don't realize it. There's a young man, he's a 4th-string quarterback, just jumped in the portal at Coastal Carolina. He's never going to play football again. Doesn't realize it. Because they were once at an FBS school, they got this offer. They think, well, at least if I get in the portal, I'm going to get another offer for sure. You're not. You're going to find yourself at a JUCO. And guess what's going to happen at a JUCO? You're not going to get another offer. And your career's over that fast. They don't understand that. It's unfortunate. And there are so many redshirt freshmen from last year. There's so many leftover people from the portal last year. And their career's over. And they don't understand. And when they reach out to me, guys, they talk to me every single day. I got offers right now in my DMs. Rico, please help me. Consult with me. Help me out. Tell me where to go. Dude, I got nothing for you, bro. I got nothing for you because I don't know every team's scholarship count right now. But I do know they already signed their recruiting class. And those scholarships are locked in. The high school kids beat you to it. Yeah, I think the transfer portal's for star players. Star players. Not under-recruited. If you're under-recruited, stay out of the portal. Because the coaches don't know you. They don't want to know you. They're not going to get to know you. They're not interested in you. Stay out of the portal if you were under-recruited. Oh, no, coach just missed on me. I think I'm going to make it. If I get in the portal, somebody else will be interested. No, they're not. All conference FCS guys. I talked to 2 of them earlier this year. And I don't want to pull it up, but on TikTok they reached out to me and they said, hey, I just want to say thank you because I got them back into their old school. Not a new school. They jumped in the portal, got no offers. Everything's drying up. I helped them get back to their old school. The school finally said, yeah, we'll let you in. And then they had a great season this year. They might not have had a football career at all had they stayed in the portal. It's just something to think about. I'll talk about players once they sign with the team, not when they jump in the portal. Rico, when it comes to defensive backs, what do you think makes a corner a high draft pick? And who was the best college corner you've seen? Brady Roberson, the best college corner I've seen, is Charles Woodson. What makes a corner a high draft pick? Lately, it's just been metrics. Lately, it's just been height, weight, arm length, supposed technique or hips, fluidity, and all this bullshit. It doesn't matter about your production. It doesn't matter about anything other than do you match up and do you have the right size to cover NFL wide receivers. I would equate it to like point guards in the NBA. You know how point guards get drafted in the NBA? It has nothing to do with their assists, their shooting, their point. None of that matters. It's like, do you have the length to cover other point guards in the league? Do you have the length to cover other shooting guards? Are you 6'3"? Okay, if you're not, we're not drafting you. You're Mateen Cleaves, you're not getting drafted. AC Law, not getting drafted. Like, we don't want you. Not anymore. Now it's just, hey, I got a 6'6" point guard. That's who we want. We'll teach them the rest. It's crazy. That's the way it works for DBs right now. I think Dermontti Jackson is more of a high risk, high reward. With 3 DBs most likely going to the draft for Bama, I think he's worth a shot. There's plenty of time to develop his game before next season. So Paul Keenan, no. High risk, high reward for the university. I don't have any issue with that. Accumulate all the talent you want. What about for the player? What about for the young man? The young man is going to waste the year of eligibility if he's not good enough. It's not worth it. When you can go to a smaller program and definitely see the field. There's no reason to do this to yourself. You weren't good enough to start at one place. You're not going to be good enough to start at a much better place. No. You're hoping the cupboard's bare and that none of the incoming freshmen are better than him. But USC found better players than him anywhere. Anywhere. They brought in a transfer from Arizona better than him. They brought in recruits better than him. Dude was down the depth chart. It's okay for the university. It's not okay for the player. That's what I'm saying. Rico, our bowl games, will you have college basketball picks, NFL picks, etc.? Casey, it's like you guys don't know what's going on the server, man. It's like you guys don't know. We already have all that shit. Every MVP has these picks. This shit is going on right now. We have hockey, women's basketball, soccer. We have everything on the server. You just have to get to the Discord server. That's crazy that people think it's college football. That's what I pick. But if you go to the damn server and you move up, you don't want to see their plays every night. Their plays, they're talking about some other, what do you want, college basketball? There it is. They hit 2-2 last night on the college basketball. You can go through it. Boom, Oilers. They're talking Edmonton. The picks are there. You just have to find them on the channel. They'll tell you, NFL, there's a live bet. Take it. They're hitting on all this. Celtics down by 20. Take it. These are the picks for the night. Take them. Money, money, money. 3 out of 4. Money. This is what they're doing. Oh, Rico, there's Lakers, Cal State Bakersfield, boom, boom, boom. Arizona 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. What are we doing? You guys didn't know that the whole server is 1,000 gamblers talking to 1,000 gamblers. Please understand what we're doing here. College basketball's been on the server the whole time. Boom. Here's what he's telling you to do. NHL. This is a professional gambler. Shout out to Flip. This is not a game. I don't understand why you guys think, look at that. Boom, boom. Why do you guys think we are just doing college football? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. That's wild. Let me get back to the list. We just made a play on World Hockey Junior Tournament game this morning. There you go. Exactly, Casey. That's what Salt and Swat's telling you. These guys bet on everything. We have a community of over 1,000 people talking to one another. All right, let's get back to this list. Excuse me. I can't get my mind straight, y'all. I told you guys I was going to stop. I had to go back and look. Preston Hodge. So Preston Hodge, starting safety at Liberty. Here's what I'll tell you guys. I think, sorry, my OBS is acting up. I don't know if you guys know what OBS is. I don't know what it stands for. Broadcast studio? Online broadcast studio? I don't know. But it acts up on my other monitor for me. So I think that Preston Hodge is an okay football player. This is the first time I'm going to tell you, I don't like this 4 stars for this transfer. See, Preston Hodge wasn't really a marquee player for me. When I watched Liberty tape last year against everyone, I watched for Chris Megginson, Chris Ghost Megginson, he transferred to SMU, and Rocket Robert Rahimi, supposed to transfer to SMU, didn't transfer anywhere, and now he just showed up in the portal. Robert Rahimi, 5 interceptions 2 years ago. He's now at San Jose State. I look forward to him playing great. But Preston Hodge wasn't really a marquee player. Didn't stick out at all. But with those departures in the secondary and their defensive backs coach leaving, and now he plays this year. And now he plays okay. Obviously, you're on an undefeated team. Your Liberty's playing out of their mind. But he played in 25 games in the last 2 years, started the last 13 for Liberty, and I didn't see anything too great on tape. 48 tackles, I think 2 interceptions. Just, here's what I think. I think the safeties and the defensive backs are really good at Colorado. So this guy's just a rotational guy, depth guy. I don't see 4 stars. I don't see the potential of some of these other players. I don't see him as good as some of these other players around here. Like, there's just no way he should be ranked this high. You see Akil Arnold down here? This is a complete stud. Complete stud, and he's ranked below Preston Hodge. That's ridiculous. This is a second leading tackler on Oregon State. He and his brother transferring to USC. This is a complete animal. Leaves me a lot to, like, I don't get it. I don't understand the ranking on it. Fine, you get a player. But now, he's from Texas. Waxahachie. I asked how to pronounce it. I don't know how to say it. He's from Waxahachie, Texas. Waxahachie. I give up. But he's not bad. Marcus Ratcliffe, leaving San Diego State, going to UCLA, played at Cathedral Catholic. Now, here's what's kind of unique, and this is going to be just a coincidence here, guys. He played at Cathedral Catholic in San Diego. So did Donovan Sanders. Both of them went to the same high school. I think they're a year off from each other. But Marcus Ratcliffe getting an extra star. Both guys are 6'3". 6'3" defensive backs. One's a safety, one's a corner. 6'3", 185, 6'3", 210. 6'3", 210, you're going to get, 210 as a safety, you're going to get an extra star, buddy. Okay? One thing's kind of cool. I think he got the star because A&M offered him. Yeah, I call it like I see it. A&M offered him, so he got a star. But instead of going to A&M, he stayed on the West Coast, stayed near home. He's from San Diego. He's just going to go to UCLA. And growing up in Southern California, if you think you're elite and you think you're a great player in Southern California, you go to one of 2 schools, USC or UCLA. That's where you go. If you're not quite at that level, you go to San Diego State or you go to Fresno State. That's what happens. Nobody goes to Oregon. Nobody goes to Stanford. No one goes to San Jose State. That's not part of the equation. I just told you the 4 schools. That's how it's done. So it's pretty neat to see a kid go from San Diego State to UCLA. More power to him. 50 tackles this year. 1 interception as a freshman. So he played well as a freshman. Now, San Diego State, terrible offense, decent defense. And we got to see a lot of the defense on the field. Ratcliffe benefited from some really solid linebacker play. Defensive line wasn't that great, but solid linebacker play at San Diego State, and it benefited them in the secondary. Not a ton of interceptions, but he's a good-sized kid, and he makes plays. Donovan Sanders leaving Cal Poly, going to TCU. Congratulations, TCU. If you guys ask me, TCU and Texas Tech, and I hope I get to it. I told you guys I'm only going to go for a little bit today, but I hope I get down far enough to start talking about Texas Tech and what they did in the transfer portal. And it's wild. They're trying to find like bargain defensive backs that I don't understand. They did the same shit last year with their defense. A lot of transfers, a lot of 6th-year defensive guys on Texas Tech, and it didn't pan out. But that's a whole nother story. But right here, Donovan Sanders leaving Cal Poly, going to TCU. It feels like a rotational guy. Yes, he had 11 pass breakups. Yes, he had 3 interceptions, 17 tackles. But, in a couple of years, like that's over 3 years, by the way. I don't understand the extra star. I don't understand it. I think he's rotational. This guy, he doesn't belong up here. He doesn't belong up here, in my opinion. But he's 6'3", so they're always going to think very highly of 6'3" corners. Okay. Georgia Tech, Keenan Johnson leaving Georgia Tech, going to Utah. Shout out to him. This is a kid. He's actually from Florida. He's got that Florida speed. I think it's Battles, right? Miles Battle. Miles Battle leaving Utah, headed to the NFL. So you got a guy in Miles Battle that's going to lead the team. They need a replacement, and this is the replacement. He's going to be filling in that role as far as I know. It's his 6th year in college. So this is your 6th-year guy, 29 tackles. According to PFF, he's improved every single year he's been in coverage. Okay. 2 forced fumbles, no interception, nothing to talk about. I don't know. I don't know how that works. It feels like a lateral move. I'm not very impressed by it. I don't get it. I don't get the signing. I don't get the move. I'm just letting you know. So when he's not in the rotation or he's just okay getting burned by whoever he's covering next year, just remember what I told you. The move didn't make sense. And there's going to be a couple of those that are like lateral where I'm like, that doesn't feel like an improvement for the team or the player. Okay, that's just how I feel. Bridges, Tequeezy Bridges, leaving Oregon, going to Florida. He's from Alabama, so I guess he's coming closer to home. It's the same thing with all these corners. They're all kind of the same size, 6'3", 200 pounds. And when you're 6'3", they give you stars. Now, he's reduced down to 3 stars. First team All-State coming out of high school. Okay. He was in Alabama, first team All-State. 5th-year corner. Now, when he was at Oregon, before that, what I wanted to touch on, before that, he went on a trip, before he committed to Florida, he went on a trip to Washington. So he chose Florida over Washington. That's a big deal because last year in the spring, Florida couldn't get any transfers. They weren't getting them into camp or into the school for a visit fast enough. Because the way Florida was doing it, Billy Napier's coaching staff was going too slow. They weren't evaluating the players fast enough. You evaluate the talent. Let me tell you how this works as a coaching staff. You evaluate the talent first, or you check admissions first. And what they were doing was checking admissions, and admissions was taking too long to find out whether or not the player was going to be eligible or be academically eligible, that they couldn't offer the player something. He was already committed somewhere else. So Billy Napier tried to blame the admissions office for taking too long and dragging their feet, and that's why they didn't get players in for a visit. Here we are. It's another offseason, another transfer portal cycle. You don't get to blame the admissions office this time. Let's have this well-oiled machine figured out, and they go and get a visit, and he actually shows up to visit. And they beat out Washington for him. That's pretty cool. Now, what I was going to say before that whole thought process was, at Oregon, the corners, there was really good corners. You guys remember I call him the Thug. He's been kicked out of 4 or 5 universities now. I think it was 3 JUCOs and 1 university. Obviously got kicked out of Bama. Kyrie Jackson, 6'3". He's going to go to the NFL because they don't care. They don't care that he's been kicked out of 5 different teams. I think he's a criminal waiting to happen. I've talked to ex-teammates, ex-coaches, people who went to high school with him. I've talked to a ton of people about this kid. They reached out to me and said, Rico, you need to know how terrible he is, because I was going to sing his praises for a second. Yep. Kyrie Jackson is a problem. But he's 6'3" and can play football. So that's where Bridges was on the bench. Bridges was in the rotation because Jackson had the spot on the field. Bridges 6'3", though. And everybody likes that size. Do you match up well? 6'3", 200 pounds. So he did get on the field. Who got hurt? Jaleel Florence got hurt. And Bridges finally got to see the field, and he played well. Go watch the tape. He played well. Akil Arnold here played 4 years at Oregon State. 5 years at Oregon State. 5 years. Going for his 6th year right now at USC. Transferring over with his brother. Total stud. 4th on the team in tackles. My bad. Played high school ball at Mission Viejo. 60 tackles. I said 2nd. I meant 4th. I think I said 4th, then changed to 2nd and meant 4th. You guys got what I mean. Good player. Quality player. He's a good football player. And playing with your brother is pretty cool. PFF of 87.7. That's not bad, guys. That's not bad. Jordan Clark, that's Ryan Clark's son. Shout out to Jordan Clark, Ryan Clark's son. He also played at University Lab. Okay? So when you start having, I remember I told you, this guy's a teammate with so-and-so. Yeah, when you start having high school teammates and they both jump in the portal, it's just pretty cool to see. So Jordan Gilbert going to LSU from University Labs, but Jordan Clark not interested in LSU. Jumping in the portal. This is Ryan Clark's son, like I said, going to Notre Dame. Good damn football player. Been playing a long time. High IQ guy. I'm excited for him. 139 tackles in his career, 17 pass breakups, I think 3 interceptions. Not bad. 50 tackles this last year, 9 pass breakups. Remember, we want 10, but 9's pretty solid. I think he's a slot corner. And I say corner, he's a safety, but when they do their safety looks and you have your 2 safeties, they bring one down to jump on the slot. This is the guy you bring down. I think he does well in coverage. Jordan Clark, I think he's a good addition to Notre Dame. It's quality signing. It's quality. Jalen Husky, going back home. He's from Quincy Orchard. I don't know if I say that name right for the high school. Gaithersburg. It is what it is. Jalen Husky is young. Probably didn't play with Marquez Cooper. Also went there. But leaving Bowling Green, going to Maryland. That has to be a dream come true for him. 6'1", 185 pounds. This is a first-team All-MAC defensive back. He and the tight end, Harold Fanning, both made first-team All-MAC for Bowling Green. Bowling Green had a couple of good players. They had a couple of defensive backs that were all-conference, second team and third team. Jalen Husky was better than all of them. He was pretty good. So when you watch the tape, he sticks out to me. 52 tackles, 4 interceptions, starting 12 games. He only had 7 tackles in 2022. So you go 7 tackles last year to 52 and actually 4 interceptions in all conference. He's just waiting for his time to shine, bro. So you'll finally get that moment, and now you can go back home and be closer to home. Okay, but in high school, led the team to a 14-0 state title when he played at Quincy Orchard. And if you go back and watch those tapes, I love watching the tape. Bro, he's it. He's a wide receiver. He's doing great. He also, I think he played at Middleton, a different high school, in 2019, if I remember correctly. And he won a state title there. I think he had a pick 6. I think he's a quality player. I think he's one of those guys. Maryland corners have been making it to the league. I think this guy can develop into an NFL corner. I do. I like that play. I like this pick. I like this guy. Looks good to me. Pause. Looks good to me. Pause. Jordan Shaw, leaving Indiana, going to Arizona. Jordan Shaw is from Downey, California. I believe that's Northern California. And I know California. I'm like, well, I think it is. Let me tell you guys this guy. Excuse me. Initially committed to Colorado coming out of high school. Back in December of 2021, he was at Colorado, or he was committed to Colorado out of high school. Then he chose Indiana over Colorado. All right, makes sense. Do you boo-boo? But I want to tell you guys about a guy named Armand Hawkins. Armand Hawkins was the assistant director of recruiting at Colorado before Coach Prime got there. Okay? So Armand Hawkins is the guy who's recruiting players to come to Colorado under Carl Durrell. When everybody got fired, Armand Hawkins left and went to ding, 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 Arizona. So this is a prior relationship they had. Excuse me, y'all. I got something just. So now that Jordan Shaw's in the portal. Damn it. Sorry, guys. I might have to take a break. That's how he got signed. They know him. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut this show short. Sorry about that. I'm dying. Oh, my goodness. You guys don't know. I just had to really get through it. Let me go back. Oh, my goodness. So Jordan Shaw leveraged a relationship that he had forged back in high school. And shout out to, excuse me, Armand Hawkins, who's now the director of recruiting at Arizona. Okay, so, or he's the assistant. It doesn't matter. It's pretty good stuff for Jordan Shaw to find a place to go play football. Congratulations. I didn't think he was that great. 12 tackles this year, nothing special. Just a 3-star kid. Just added depth, and I guess the relationship paid off, so I hope he plays well. Kobe Savage, leaving K-State, going to Oregon. I'm sorry, guys. I can't get it straight. Kobe on tape is short. He's 5'11", 207, but he just comes across as a shorter DB for me. There's nothing about him that really sticks out. This is a JUCO kid. So he went to Tyler Junior College first in Texas. He's from Paris, Texas. He was a hurdler in high school. I like hurdlers, so I pay attention to all their tape. I go look at it, but he didn't look great. He is a 2-year starter. He was all Big 12. You guys are hearing me say all this stuff. All Big 12, 2-year starter, 100 tackles, 6 interceptions, 4 passes broken up, all this stuff. I just don't like the way he looks on tape. I don't like the way he looks on tape. But Oregon lost Brian Addison, who's the kid who just transferred from Fresno State, Evan Williams, Steve Stevens, the fourth. So they lost all 3 of those guys. So I think Kobe Savage addresses a need for Oregon, and he looks like a high-quality signing. I'm just not excited about it because when I watch on tape, I look at a guy who I don't think can compete with the Big Ten wide receivers next year. I think it's a step down in talent. Congrats to Kobe Savage, but I think he's not of the echelon of some of the DBs that Oregon has signed in the past. He's not Evan Williams. He's just not. That's how I feel. And then the best player, and you see this, they gave him a T and 3 stars, meaning they already evaluated him as a 3-star. He should be 4 stars, maybe 5. Devin Grant's such an amazing player that I don't understand how he's behind anybody. I don't understand how he's behind any of these dudes. You watch tape on Devin Grant and you say, that's an amazing safety. You got to be tripping, bruh. That's nuts. Now, he's leaving Buffalo and headed to Syracuse. Go play for Fran Brown. But Devin Grant is 6'4", 190 pounds. Go watch his high school tape. You will fall asleep. He's from Flushing, New York. The tape is gross. You can't even tell how good he was. The tape has, like, bad camera angles, low quality. It's like he didn't play in real stadiums because you play in New York. I don't even know where the football fields are in New York. There's no room for him. It looks terrible. This is a top 5 safety. This is a stud of a player. 5 interceptions this year, 2 of them for pick sixes, 167 yards in return yards. Complete animal. Devin Grant is an NFL player waiting to happen. Love everything about him. Him and Fuqua were stuck out on tape to me for Buffalo. Every week, I talked about Buffalo's defense for the MVPs. Every single week, when the tape came up or when the matchups came up, all I ever told them was, Devin Grant's a problem. Don't be throwing on him. It's just the way it is. That you cannot do anything with Devin Grant on the field. Don't go that route. I love Buffalo's defense. I would tell you guys the same thing every single week, and it's because of this kid, Devin Grant. Hits the portal, and he's going to go play for Fran. Fran Brown got himself a stud safety. I love Devin Grant. I'll watch him every single week like I always do, but I will be telling everybody I was right. It's a future 3rd-round pick right here. They don't draft safeties in the first 2 rounds. So when I say future 3rd-round pick, that means he's the top safety in the draft. That's how good Devin Grant is to me. I assess talent. Remember, last year, I told you guys Marty Mappau was the best safety in the draft, and people just were like, what is this guy even talking about? Marty Mappau ends up getting drafted in the 3rd round. out of Sacramento State, out of an FCS program, third round to the Patriots. It's like, what is Rico talking about? I don't know. Him and Bill Belichick assess talent the same way, right? So this is where I'm at on Devin Grant. I think he's an amazing safety, and I think it's really, I think it's a disservice to put him way down here. He should be, I mean, he's better than these other guys. These guys just don't even, there's no way you put A.J. Harris ahead of him. There's none. These guys have done nothing to warrant it. And this is a young guy. He's a sophomore this year. Don't tell me, oh, they count years left and all this shit. Well, what do you think he's got? He's got years left. I think Fran Brown knows exactly what he recruited to Syracuse. Fran Brown just left Georgia and said, yo, that guy over there, that's one of the best damn safeties in the country. I need to get him up here. You know, he's not recruiting these guys to Syracuse. He's not getting these guys to Syracuse. Not his old Georgia DBs. He's getting this guy. Devin Grant, to me, best safety that you could find. I'm huge on that. Pause. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Savion Riley. Going from Vandy to Miami, here's what I'll say. Savion Riley, Kennesaw Mountain, here in Georgia. I already told you guys. You played high school football in Georgia. I know who you are. He used to play wide receiver in high school, though. So his whole high school tape is nothing but wide receiver. They just said, hey, you're now going to move to DB. I don't see anything too great about him as a defensive back. Let me be clear. This is a wide receiver that they moved to defensive back under the assumption he couldn't play wide receiver at the Division I level. So Vandy moves him to defensive back, and he's got 2 years of eligibility left. But in the first 2 years that I've seen him play at Vandy, and he's been there 3 years now, the first 2 years that I saw him play at Vandy, 48 tackles, 0 interceptions, 0 pass breakups. He never finds the ball. 0 ball skills. He just makes tackles because he's in position to do it. But it's not like this is one of these DBs where I'm like, yeah, man, he's dumb. No, I don't see it at all. I don't know what they see. I don't know what they're doing. This is a lateral move. I don't think he can even start at Miami. He doesn't find the ball. Do you know what Miami's losing? Miami's losing Cam Kitchens, the best safety in the world. Best safety in the draft is Cam Kitchens. And this is this year. Cam Kitchens is a second-round draft pick. First-round draft pick, if you ask me. Cam Kitchens is everything. This is a huge drop-off from Cam Kitchens. You're talking about a guy that's getting 5-6 interceptions a year to a guy who's never batted down a pass. What are we doing? That one's wild to me. Very underwhelmed by that signing. Very underwhelmed. I don't like it. Okay. Key Lawrence going to Ole Miss, leaving Oklahoma. Yeah, it makes sense. You want certain players who look a certain way. Key Lawrence, 6'1", 206, coming out of Tennessee, coming out of high school. He was a basketball player, and he went to Tennessee first. I want to make this clear. He was at Tennessee first as a 4-star player. Couldn't really play there all that much. Transfers and goes to Oklahoma. Now, in his whole career, he's got 140-something tackles, 3 interceptions. I think he's a quality player. I don't know if he's starting material, but he's definitely quality. Like, he's fine. It's an underwhelming signing for Ole Miss. It's a rotational guy. If he's on your field every single down, I don't think you're doing well. I'm just saying. Jacoby Thomas. This is really Jacoby Thomas leaving Middle Tennessee State, going to Tennessee. Like, when you see that, immediately you go, okay, it's a local kid, went to Middle Tennessee or from Tennessee and said, yo, I want to go play for the Volunteers, because that's every kid in Tennessee. That's their goal in life, right? So initially he went to Middle Tennessee State. Now he earned his right to play at Tennessee. But when you put a little more analysis onto this, Jacoby's actually being signed for what he did back in 2022, not this year. Because this year, I want to say he had 71 tackles and 5 pass breakups, but no interceptions. It was in 2022 when he had 4 interceptions. He looked great. And back in 2022, Middle Tennessee, they went 7-5, I think. That's when they had Patterson. He's now at UCF. They had a ton of turnovers. They caused, and he led the country in interceptions. So this was another guy that was getting the benefit of, numbers being thrown his way. But there's a lot of people interested in this young man, and I guess I get it. He looks good, but I don't know if he starts at Tennessee. I hope he does. Feels like a good move. If I was him, I would have went to Oregon State. So he took a trip to Ole Miss, Oregon State, and Tennessee. I would have went to Oregon State. They just lost their safety. He's right here. Somewhere up here. Right here. Well, Jamal McCoy left as well, but you saw them. They just lost Akil Arnold. They didn't lose their defensive coordinator. He's now the head coach. I would have went to Oregon State, me personally. But I get it. You want to stay home. Who am I to tell you not to stay home? Randon Fontenette, leaving TCU, going to Vandy. Let's just move to move, bro. Let's just move to move. Fontenette, 6'3", 215. A little slow for me. He's a former quarterback in high school. Went and watched all his tape. He's from Texas, Freeport, Texas. Brazo Sport High School? I don't know. Went to TCU, didn't do anything. He's a quarterback in high school, but the quarterback, he couldn't throw. 45% completion percentage, 1,000-yard rusher, whatever. We know it. He's an athlete. They give him the ball every down. They said, hey, when you get to college, you're going to move to defensive back. You're 6'3". Let's move you to safety. All potential, y'all. All potential. I went back and watched as much tape on him as I could, and the most tape I saw on him was against Oklahoma. And it was like, okay, I'm watching him against Oklahoma, and he has 8 tackles in the game. I'm watching it all. Yeah, they lost the game 69-45. He was part of the reason TCU couldn't stop Oklahoma from scoring 69 points. Remember that blowout, 69-45. So I watched it. I'm not impressed with anything I saw on the tape. This is all potential. Obviously, you've seen a Vandy safety like Savion Riley leaving, underwhelmed by Riley's ball skills to begin with. I don't get it. And I also don't know how he's ranked this high. Like, I get it. It's 3 stars. But there are other players down here much better than 19 tackles. Much better than what I see here, a former quarterback turned safety. Doesn't move me at all. Bly Hill leaving St. Francis, going to Nebraska. I didn't know this kid at all before the transfer portal. I don't watch FCS football every single week. I watch FBS football. But once again, guess who Nebraska played this year? Guess who they played? Oh, no, it wasn't St. Francis. They played, did they play Duquesne? It doesn't matter. Bly Hill is the wrong guy. Is another guy I wanted to talk about. I don't know where he's at. But Bly Hill, for me, from Baltimore, Maryland, 6'3", 165. So they're just going to get a guy with the right height. Skinny as hell. You ever met somebody 6'3", 165? A blow over, bro. Blow over. 21 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups. Not 21 tackles, period. I'm sorry. 21 tackles, 4 pass breakups against Duquesne. That's what I wanted to say. Against Duquesne. Sorry, my dog's acting up over here. And then he didn't play all that much this year. I watched him, so I was like, who's this kid? So I went looking for St. Francis film. I found the game against Western Michigan they played, and I was not impressed. It was okay. That's the only game I saw him in. Underwhelming. I don't know why he's ranked right here. It doesn't make sense. Another player that doesn't make sense is Devin Cromwell. Remember I told you guys, I'm going to go to the chat here in a second, but remember I told you guys Devin Cromwell, I told you about Texas Tech. They're doing something weird. So look at that university name. University of Gulf. Gulf. G-U-E-L-P-H. Gulf? I'm assuming it's golf. PH is a golf sound, F sound, right? Where the hell is this university at? I had to go do research. Canada, bro. Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Canada is where this kid's from. Played 4 seasons in Canada. He's been an all-star, which is like saying he's all-conference. So he's been an all-star the last 2 years. But back in 2021, he was first-team all-star. 7 pass breakups as a freshman. So I think this last year he was second team. So this is a Canada kid, very developed, 4 years in college. If you didn't know, Canada has their own college, their own NCAA. Canada has their own college. They have their own SEC, too. They have their own conferences, equivalent is what I'm saying. And he played in Canada, bro. I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't know anything about this kid. So went back, tried to find some tape. Couldn't find any tape. Went back, tried to find some high school tape. Couldn't find any high school tape. So I don't know how good he is. But I know Texas Tech is out here getting dudes on a bargain. Trying to find some low-budget dudes on a bargain. And more power to you. I don't know how this is going to work out. I'm going to keep an eye on it all season. I'll do Kilgore, and then I'll go back to the chat. Gerald Kilgore. What? Gerald Kilgore. This is exciting for me, y'all. So Putnam County, 1A football here in Georgia. Putnam County, Gerald Kilgore was the quarterback. His brother was also on the team. So for me, seeing Jalen Kilgore, who's a star defensive back at South Carolina this year, Jalen Kilgore was the little brother. Gerald was the older brother. The Kilgore brothers had Putnam County on the map. And then everybody's like, well, they're too athletic. They're going to be defensive backs. They can't. So Gerald goes to Tennessee Tech. You see it here, Tennessee Tech University. And he has to transition from quarterback to safety. And he played well, y'all. He did his damn thing. I love it. 37 tackles, 5 pass breakups, 2.5 tackles for loss, an 85.1 PFF. Gerald Kilgore played great as a redshirt freshman. Okay? So then, here's what happens next. He's the older brother to Jalen. And Jalen Kilgore is a freshman All-American, freshman All-SEC starting corner for South Carolina. So if you want to keep your corner, your all-conference corner, your All-American freshman corner from leaving in the transfer portal, all you have to do is sign his brother. That's all you got to do. Go sign his brother. And that's what they did. They signed Gerald Kilgore to South Carolina. I think he's good enough to play. I've watched these kids play their whole high school career. I think he's good enough to play, man. You imagine your brother went to South Carolina, and he's all-conference. He's all-American freshman, and you're like, dude, I'm just as good as my brother. Y'all got to give me an offer. And then you got your brother at practice every day going, man, my brother's better than all you dudes. Wait till my brother gets here next offseason. And now he's there. So this is an exciting signing for me. I like Gerald Kilgore signing. South Carolina, you got a player from the FCS. I'm cool with it. And it's the brother of one of your star DBs, so he doesn't leave the team. Let's do that. Let's make sure we don't lose all our good players. I want to put this cough drop in my mouth. I'm actually picking at it right now. I apologize. But there's paper stuck to it. I'm going to put it in anyways. I don't care. All right, let's go to chat. Go to chat. What time is it? It's almost time for the games. Chat says, should have went and got Del Taco, cleared your mind with some good eats. Shout out to you. Sultan, it's 2-hour drive there and 2-hour drive back. I would have missed the first game. Just watch Clemson versus Kentucky MVP videos. Let's play some football. What up, Tidy Whitey Rob? Keep your panties on, bro. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. Let's go. Rico, after bowl games, yep, I already talked about it. Is there a player you covered today that you would feel was not a fit in their system, but is moving to a school that will really highlight their strengths? Damani Jackson, if they can highlight his speed. I'm a little under, like I said, Savion Riley. I think I've mentioned the players who I don't think are very good. I don't want to go there. I hope they all find a new beginning and a new chance to be great. I really do. I'm going to go to 8 games today and call it a day. Covered today that you feel fit in the system, but is moving to a school that will really highlight their strengths. Is there a player you covered that is in the reverse? Damani Jackson. It's tough, man. I hope every player is going to an environment that is advantageous to their skill set, that they don't sit on the bench. But oftentimes I look at these players and I think to myself, why? Why are you transferring? What was it? Is it a girlfriend? It's got to be something illogical, like something that's not obvious, something that's not on tape, something that's not in the roster or something. I don't know. Do you think Devin Dye will be an impact player at Kansas? James Madden, I don't. I don't think about it. Juan Barrera said, how's MVP doing? You said, how's VIP doing? It's called MVP, and MVP is doing great as far as I know. I think I'm at an all-time high right now on Patreon with MVPs. We'll double check. Let's check what our numbers are for Patreon. RicoKnows MVPs. Currently, we have 992 MVPs. We have never had that many paid MVPs on Patreon. We had 1,600 on YouTube, so we're bouncing back. We're getting there. We'll see how we do with the UFC coming up. Shout out to all the people who want to be MVPs. Who will be MVP 1000? Let it be you, bro. Let's find out. We're going to get there today. Peace, chat. Peace, Rico. Keep up the great work. Shout out to you, Sean Ruffner. Take some oregano oil and turmeric tea. Be well. Yeah, man, it's out back. I got it. What portal players would fit FSU's defense? Steve Madden. It all depends on what they need, but there's a ton. I mean, there's a ton that would fit their defense. I talk about every position group. I try not to identify players and put them on teams because I don't know their relationship with the coaching staff or their grades and admissions qualifications. But there are players out there that could help teams. So just keep an eye on each position group video, watch them through. But I don't have any specific names right now for Florida State. This may be a dumb question, but do you think Cormani and maybe Travis Hunter are regretting not going to FSU or Miami? Travis is doing good, but I don't know about Cormani. So Brady, I think you ever been dating a girl? You ever been dating a girl and you realize you're not going to be with her, or you're not happy in the relationship, but you don't break up with her right away? You just keep living. I've been there. I knew I was with this girl. I was with my first wife. I knew I wasn't going to be with her for, I think we had been married 3 years. And I just said to myself, I'm not going to be with this person for the rest of my life. I remember it vividly. I remember where I was at, what I was doing. I was just sitting there, and I just thought, man, I just looked at her and just said, I will not be with you till the day I die. Can't stand your ass. She hated the Army. I knew I was going to do that for 20 years. She hated Mexicans. I knew I was Mexican. There's no change in that. She hated rap music, which I listened to about 50% of the time. She hated country music, which I listened to the other 50% of the time. She hated video games, sports. She hated sports, bro. I can't get down with you. I'm out. So, but you just stick around. You stick it out because you're already there, and you can't just pick up and leave. Sometimes people, you can cut sling and go. Like, sometimes there's no price tag on happiness. But what's Cormani supposed to do, man? He went to Colorado. You don't have any guarantee that you're going to see the field at Miami or Florida State. So what are you regretting? Are you regretting Colorado, Boulder, Colorado? Are you regretting the city and no nightlife? That's childish. Right? Are you regretting not being near your family and friends? Well, grow up. Right? There's a whole lot of thing there. I think the people who regret it the most are people who leave winning programs and then the new program goes down the drain. Like, if you left Florida State for Colorado and Florida State just went undefeated, maybe you feel kind of bad about that. But Cormani McClain left high school. He didn't leave another program. He didn't leave Florida State or Miami. He just left high school. Right? I have not talked about Aiden Garnes yet. I'm going to. And that's where I'm at on this. Is like, I think that you can't really regret not going somewhere. There's a bunch of girls I didn't date in high school I should have. There's a bunch of girls I didn't hook up with on Tinder, but I probably should have. Right? You don't live life like that, man. It's when you pick a place. I don't know. I don't think you go through life missing what you didn't have. I think you go through life missing what you once had, not what you didn't have. I want to make that very clear. That's just my wisdom and my experiences in life. You can miss what you once had, but you can't miss what you never had. Right? So he never went to Miami. He never went to Florida State. Nope. And I'll say this to every single player out there who's not happy about the team they're on. Every single person I've ever met, and this is in the Army, every kid who showed up to my unit, the worst unit they were in is the unit they were currently in, and the best unit was the unit they just left. And how is that true every single time, right? How is that true? I want you to think about for transfers. The worst team, the worst school they could ever be at is the team they're currently on. And the best team that they were ever at is the team they just left. What if they had that attitude? Isn't that crazy? What I'm trying to get at here is we don't really know about personal relationships, relationships with coaches, relationships with position coaches. It could be a terrible experience. Any of you guys ever had a job you hated the boss? Say you had a good job. Let's say you worked somewhere really prestigious, but you hated your boss, so you just quit. Anybody ever done that? Like, I just need to know. Think of somebody said UPS drivers are making $170,000 a year. Everybody's looking around going, I'd be a UPS driver. Oh my God, I could make $170,000 a year. It's like, yeah, really? What if your boss was the biggest asshole on the planet and the wages didn't really make it worth it? Like, what if the stress, the detriment, you were mistreated, you were demeaned, you were talked down to? Is it really worth it? So we don't really know the environment that Cristobal has. We don't really know the environment that Norvell has. So it's just the way I look at things sometimes. You guys don't understand. Like, man, I can't even tell you guys. Like, I've been offered a ton of money to work at various places. Or I could turn it all down and wake up when I want to wake up and go to bed when I want to go to bed and do my show from my living room. I'm chilling right here, bro. I'm going to watch video games. I'm doing this. I don't answer to anybody. That freedom of mind is amazing. I would hope that these young men who pick these universities, I would hope they don't regret not picking another university because you have no idea what those work conditions are like or what those coaching conditions are like. You know, you think he wants to go to Miami? How do you think Miami feels right now? They just lost to Rutgers, bro. They just lost to Rutgers. You can't say that that's better than Colorado. You don't know. At the same time, like, I'm a former first sergeant. I remember going to work, and I'm the boss of everybody. But somebody's still my boss. Somebody can still ruin my day. They call me top. I'm the top of the food chain. I'm in charge of 100-something people every day. But somebody could still ruin my day. And you know what? Somebody did. At one point, a guy walked in and said, Top, I don't like you. I don't want you to work for me. You need to go somewhere else. Now, he didn't have the authority to make me go somewhere else. He just let me know he didn't like me working for him. And that was enough to make me want to leave. And I remember saying, all right, then, man, I'm out of here. Don't worry about it. I'll clean up my office tomorrow. I'll find somewhere else to fucking work. And I remember walking out and saying, I'm never going back to that building. And that dude, he ain't even there today. But I remember I said, I'm not going back there. I'm not wanted there. I'm good. I run shit. I'll go get my own office somewhere else. I don't need to listen to that guy every day. I'm out this joint. And I remember when I went to my next office, the first thing they said to me was, where'd you work? I said, I used to work in that fancy building over there. I said, well, what'd you do? I said, I'm a first sergeant over there. I'm in charge of all this. I'm in charge of all that. They said, and you want to work with us? Why do you want to work over here? Oh, my God, that's the dream palace. That's the place to be. Oh, my God, you had this. You had. I said, no, I'm good, man. I just want to work over here. I want something simple. I want something easier. I don't need to be in charge of 150 people. Let me just run these 5 people. I don't need my own office with my own couch and all this other shit. No, man, I'll share a cubicle down here on the other end. I'll sit with another dude. I don't even need a door. You guys just knock on the partition. I'm cool. They're looking at me like, Master, you all right? Yeah, man. I want no stress in my life. We don't know what work conditions are like at certain universities. We don't know what some of these undue stress is being caused by certain coaching staffs and certain environments. We just all assume it's better at Alabama, Georgia, right? Texas, Michigan. No, it's not all better. There are people there disgruntled, mistreated, and not happy. At every institution, no matter how well it looks, no matter how good it looks, somebody wants out. So that's how I feel about it. Sorry for that long tangent, but it's just, there's some real shit going on there. Everyone like the video and subscribe for future transfer portal videos. Yep, thank you very much. Did you talk about Aiden Garnes? No, Daniel, I'm going to get to him. Rico spitting real life facts on the transfer portal update. I am. Speaking my life, Rico left a damn good salary managing a business, and the owner was a snake. Left for another job. I'm happier, and I'm here. Exactly. There's no price tag on happiness, man. Trust me. I remember how happy I was, and the judge was like, well, you're going to pay $2,000 a month in child support for the rest of your life. Well, until my kids become adults. I said, guys, shit, $2,000 a month? $2,000 a month? How am I supposed to eat, bro? I think at the time I was making $3,000. And the judge said I had to give her $2,000. I'll never forget it. That was my base pay. You can look it up, 2011 E6. Go look up the base pay on a 2011 E6 in the Army. And the judge didn't give a shit. He was like, well, you can use your BAH. And I said, my BAH fluctuates depending on where I live. He said, well, you got to provide for the wife and kids, for the ex-wife and kids. I said, okay. $2,000. I moved into a 10 by 10 room. I rented off of Craigslist for the next 5 years. Yep. It's a true story. And I'll tell you that entire time, I was happier than I ever was when I was married to that woman. Because there's no price tag on happiness. You tell me I could date somebody who loves the Army, sports, and Mexicans? Like, you're telling me I can finally find somebody with equivalent interest? Somebody who enjoys what I do? Because I married some chick I knew for 3 months? That's what happened, guys. I was 20 years old. I met a girl and married her for 3 months. We knew each other for 3 months. She was fine as hell. I was like, yo, this is going to work. And we went and had a bunch of kids and got married and together for 10 years. Anybody who looked at her back then was like, oh, my God, Rico, you got the finest wife. Yeah, shut up, bro. Finest wife that I just want to get away from. I just want to get rid of her. True story. Anyways, these schools don't build culture anymore. It's pay to play. These kids no longer idolize schools. They go to the best paycheck for promises. This is very true. I don't necessarily know if it's all true. There are some schools that have the kids who grew up in the state and want to play for that state. I just saw a kid from Tennessee stay to go to Tennessee. Kids grow up in Wisconsin and Nebraska, want to play at those schools. Kids who grow up in Iowa want to play in Iowa. There's certain schools out there and certain programs. But, yeah, it happens. Kermani will show up this season. We're going to find out. All right, let's get back to the list. Excuse me. DeRicky? Is it DeRicky? DeRicky Wright going from Vandy to Texas A&M. Remember I told you guys, A&M is winning in the transfer portal when it comes to the secondary. They really are. This is a huge safety. 6'4", 217 pounds. He's been gradually getting there. So first year at Vandy, 6 tackles. Then 24 tackles. Then 55 tackles. Then 46 tackles. So gradually getting better. 5 interceptions this whole time. I'm excited for him. I want you guys to know something. Elko goes and gets this 6'4 safety. With Central Michigan, and I'm not talking about him today. I'm just going to touch on it real quick. Central Michigan has another safety called Trey Jones. Trey Jones, DeRicky Wright, Bryce Anderson, and Jacoby Matthews. Those are the 4 safeties at A&M. The rotation's good to go. Mike Elko rotates 4 safeties in. This is it. This is what you're looking for. Those are your 4 guys. They're all set. Safety's all set. DeRicky Wright's one of them, and I think he's a hell of a player. Trust. That's a good player. Much more impressive signing, DeRicky Wright, than Savion Riley. Savion Riley's the fake safety. Doesn't get any interceptions, never finds the ball. not the guy I'm excited for out of Vandy. This is the real one right here. So the evaluation of talent by A&M versus Miami is very real, and they found the right safety. Shout out to them. All right, Tyreek Chappelle. I don't talk about players that aren't committed to schools yet, but what I want to tell you guys is Tyreek is a good player. Leaving A&M, this is a starter, 3-year starter. He's from Northeast Philly. So is he going to go up to Syracuse? I'm curious. But I think coming out of A&M, you got a guy who had 41 tackles, 44 tackles, 9 passes deflected, 8 passes deflected, 6 passes, and this is his seasonal stats. Like, when you have numbers like that, I respect it completely. Think he's a baller. I like what he's doing. Remember this, Elijah Robinson is leaving A&M. That's the defensive line coach. So he was the new defensive line coach after the other guy died. So Elijah Robinson leaves A&M. He's going to be the defensive coordinator at Syracuse. Just something to talk about. So him going to Syracuse tells me all these A&M players jump in the portal. So when you see an A&M player jumping in the portal, it's because they lost some important coaches. Elko's coming back, and Elko, once he gets there, he's going to bring in his own staff and his own people. So for me, Tyreek Chappelle is one of those guys. He's a little short, 5'11", 185. I say a little short. He's 1 inch shorter than they like him to be. But I think he's a good player, man. I'm excited for him. Tavon Nicholson leaving Illinois, going to Ole Miss. Talk about not excited. Not excited about the signing at all. Tavon Nicholson started at Illinois, got it. They call him Taz. He's from Jacksonville, Florida. His nickname is Taz. All right, well, let me tell you what Taz is. A 2-year starter. Taz is a penalty waiting to happen, y'all. Go watch the tape. 13 Big Ten, according to PFF, blah, blah, blah. Go watch the tape. This is a penalty waiting to happen. I can't wait till we're watching games next year. Ole Miss is on the TV, and Tavon Nicholson is getting called for pass interference, illegal hands, touching, holding, whatever. Doesn't matter. This guy is penalties all day. Not excited by that signing. Ethan Robinson leaving Bucknell, going to Minnesota. What a signing. 6 foot, 175 pounds. Went to Iona Prep out of high school, right? New Rochelle, New York. Goes to Bucknell. All he was all conference this year. All conference, Patriot League, first team. 10 passes batted down. 10 pass breakups. That's the gold standard. 10. He got it. 3 interceptions. So now you got Justin Wally on one side, and you got Ethan Robinson on the other. I think Minnesota got a good player. They got a good defensive back in Ethan Robinson. Congratulations. Texas Tech. Oh, boy. Going to Fairmont State. Fairmont State, Division II school. And they go and find this kid from Gainesville, Florida. Gainesville, Virginia, my bad. Javon Jackson. Guys, when he said he's going, this is what's crazy. Shout out to Marcel Yates, by the way. Marcel Yates is the defensive backs coach at Texas Tech. He's having to find players. I think they told him, we got no budget for the DBs, bro. Find whoever you can. And he found a kid from Canada, and now he found this young man from a Division II school that I think is okay, but 84 tackles, 1 interception this year. But when they interviewed him and they said, hey, why'd you pick Texas Tech? He said, oh, man, I went out there to Lubbock. And it was so flat, I could see for miles. I've never been able to see that far. So it was really cool that it was flat. He said flat land. And the city had nothing going on. It just felt like that's where I needed to be. Very calm, very flat. When recruits are talking about how flat the land is, bro, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I'm confused all the way around. Doesn't sound like a guy I want on my team. And I'm going to cut the show short here. I'm going to just talk about this last guy because Daniel Henderson asked, and Daniel Henderson is a VIP. He's not just an MVP. He's a VIP. That man's tipped me a lot of money in my life, and he takes care of the channel, so I always want to take care of him. Aiden Garnes, leaving Duquesne, going to West Virginia. What a player. 6 foot, 170 pounds. He chose West Virginia over Liberty, over Tulane, over Cincy. He had every group of 5 offer you can think of. Okay? What's really cool is West Virginia and Duquesne played each other. They played against each other, and he had 3 tackles, 1 pass breakup in the game. West Virginia saw him on tape and said, yeah, that kid can play some football. 51 tackles, 11 pass breakups this year. I think he's the very best. The very best corner that nobody's talking about. That's a RicoKnows corner right there. That's a guy that I think is very good. They said he's the 3rd best FCS corner according to PFF. I don't care. I love what I saw on tape. First team all-conference. Aiden Garnes is an impact transfer, just like Anthony Wilson was, just like Beanie Bishop was. I'm picking up my trash. I'm sorry. Just like some other guys were going to West Virginia. I believe in him to that extent wholeheartedly. So congratulations, West Virginia. Shout out to Neil Brown. Not only did you go from getting off the hot seat to getting dumped with a bunch of mayonnaise, Neil Brown is a beast, bro. Great coach, great culture being built there, and you got yourself one hell of a transfer. Congratulations. Hey, guys, I owe you guys answers on all the rest of these defensive backs who have signed. It'll come out in the second episode. We will get to it. We talk about every single player in the transfer portal. You just have to watch the episodes. You have to sit down and watch them. The next episode will be a quarterback episode. I'll go back and retouch on any quarterbacks I haven't talked on. And, guys, I take notes. I keep track of everybody I talk about, so you will know if I don't talk about a certain player, probably talked about him in an earlier episode, and I'll tell you what episode I talked about him. So, look, I haven't talked about Aiden Childs yet. Haven't talked about Cam Ward yet. I'm waiting to see where people commit. But I will go back through my list and make sure that I talk about every single player. So I'll see you guys in the next episode and what players are in the transfer portal. I'll usually talk about who's the best available, who's the best to go anywhere. I'm sorry, I'm getting text messages now. People think I'm getting off the show. Let me go to chat one last time, and then we'll roll out. Fairmont State, that's 15 miles from Morgantown. Yes, it is. And he went all the way to Texas Tech. Must believe that Earth is flat, too. Yeah, can't get down with it, Zach Downey. These schools don't build it. Yup. I mean, your Notre Dame, Tennessee, Bama, and stuff. But these tweeners, for sure. Best DB available. So they're going to tell you it's A.J. Harris. Not for me. Let me go double check. Because I'm not impressed with A.J. Harris. Let me go to uncommitted. And we'll do it by position. And we'll go down here to defensive back. So, yeah, they got A.J. Harris. Oh, it's Tyreek Chappelle. Tyreek's probably the best for me. I like Tyreek. I wouldn't touch Denver Harris with a 10-foot pole. Let me keep looking. Marcus Rose-Kilgrew. He's not as bad as Denver Harris, but for some reason he didn't stick at Liberty. Excuse me, at Louisville. I think he's probably going to go to Georgia State or Georgia Southern. He's got to get realistic and start going to one of these smaller schools. Isaiah Johnson's here. Jair Brown's here. Yeah, Jalen Catalon's here. He's pretty decent. Pretty decent available, but I would have to go down and double-check everybody. It's to the point where I don't really check available players in the portal. I really only check the commitments, and then I wait for these guys to commit, and then I talk about them. Caldwell can play football. I mean, some guys can play. Some guys have been out there playing for a while. Deuce Chestnut, stud, leaving LSU. That's a stud player. They look at LSU just got rid of 2 guys, Deuce Chestnut and Denver Harris. So they got rid of 2 corners that they don't believe in. Malone can play. Yeah, I'll get to everybody. Eventually, if they sign somewhere, I'll get to them, I promise. So it is what it is. We'll get through it. Hey, guys, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate everybody. I'll be live streaming starting at noon for the bowl games in about 15 minutes. Peace.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist. And it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify the things that you believe in. Have to scream it like a battle cry and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love. Those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug. Those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make up lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others fail to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time.